The hunter is now the hunted. Hey, I'm Tom P. with Garden State Adventures. It's the middle of February, and we are on the Flatbrook Roy Wildlife Management Area in northern Sussex County, and the target will be, hopefully, coyote, hopefully red fox, hopefully gray fox. We are predator hunting. The idea is to get them to come to you, either using prey calls or association calls, and it is going to be one very cold late afternoon into evening hunt. I have the fantastic opportunity down with Ron and Jennings Jones from Redneck's Pride Game Calls and Outdoor Scents. Now, these gentlemen have hunted all over the country. Predators are their specialty. So we're about to get to it. It's going to be as I said before, a cold and difficult hunt, because although the predators are out there, they ain't easy. But I have two of the best calling, and we're going to have a great hunt. So join us, and we'll see you in the field. Okay, Ronnie, now we are on the Flatbrook Roy Management Area in Sussex County. We're east of Route 206. We have very diverse habitat here. We have pines, we have cornfields back here, we have grass fields, hedgerows. Now we have the double-edged advantage. It is mating season, and they're always looking for food.
Yep, especially when it's cold like this, yeah.
So we have dropping temperatures. The temperature had to drop 15 degrees in the past, 2 hours or something. A little variable winds here, which is going to make it a little tough. But, so Ron, we're looking at coyotes, we're looking at red fox, some gray fox up here from what I understand. I've seen a few over the years. It's going to be a calling game naturally. Are we going to go on their hunger pangs, hunger attraction, their mating attraction? And also, the way these winds are blowing, we have to have a good cover scent. What do we have?
Well, we're going to cover up, but when you're getting back to what we're going to talk on or use the calls on, the foxes, if you're going to go after foxes, you're going to go after the hunger, okay? But if you're going to go after coyotes, you got to go after their vocals. You got to go after the pack orientations or the sounds of the coyote. The little fox, he's going to be hungry, and that's your distress sounds. But the coyote, you got to go after the coyote sounds right now.
Now, Ron, you've been ACP Redneck's Pride Outdoor Scents and Game Calls for over 40 years, and you've hunted, besides New Jersey, from Sussex down to Cape May, states all out in the Midwest and Southwest. Jersey predators, are they pretty much the smartest you've ever encountered?
The hardest I've ever seen.
Is it the people thing? The proximity to suburbia? What do you think? Yeah,
I think there's a bunch of things. They're just used to people. Number one, they know how to live with us. They know how to deal with us.
Right.
Plus, our populations aren't high like down in Texas.
Right.
Down in Texas, the populations are much higher than they are here. So when you have a lower population of these animals, okay, meaning the coyote, he's going to be more wary. Now, 10 years ago, our fox calling was unbelievably easy. Now, down south in the southern part of the state where I'm from, you know, it wasn't nothing to call in. You know, you go out, do 5 stands and call in at least one fox out of 5 stands. In the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, if you go out 10, 15 times, you may call in a fox. Now, with the fox populations building up down there, we're starting to see more productive calling sites. You get up here, you got a lot higher fox population. So you're going to, those fox is going to come in on a higher percentage of calls.
Right. But Ron, here's one thing that I contend with, and some people agree, some disagree. It seems the attraction of predator hunting now, people like me hate to see the seasons end. Now you pay the $2 for the permit, and we can hunt at night now.
Right.
So do you think maybe more people out there in the woods knowing or really not knowing what they're doing is making these animals even tougher to bring in? Now, you're an expert caller. You've been doing this for many, many years. You make your own calls. And even you said, Tom P., this is going to be a tough game, but let's do it. What do you think?
Predator calling is tough when you have no idea what you're doing in the first place. When you do know what you're doing, it's still tough.
That's what I meant, yeah.
One of the biggest problems I see is the night calling season. Every new caller wants to jump right in on night calling.
That's right.
And night calling is probably the worst time to try to figure out how to call in critters, because number one, you don't even know what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, what they're going to do. So the only thing you can see is where the light is shining.
Right.
These foxes or coyotes or these animals can be coming right in beside you and you never even know it. I can't tell you how many times I've had gray foxes come right up behind me and bark at me from 10 feet, 10 feet behind. So if it's a new caller, what I always say is do what we're doing today. Come out a couple hours before dark.
Right.
start calling before dark, so you can, at least if a coyote's coming down off this ridge right here, you can see it moving through to you.
Right.
You know, where at night, if your light's not on it, you don't see it.
All right. Now, Ron, let's get back to the calls. Mouth calls, electronic calls. I know your preference is for doing it natural, so to speak, and very successful doing it. Does one have an advantage over the other? Again, new moon period. We're going to have some snow coming in tonight. Winds are picking up. What do you think? Volume or seductiveness? What do you got?
Actually, with a good mouth call, you can get as much volume as you can with electronic caller too. That's going to be your mode of interest. I love adding realism to it. Mouth call, I can have quivers, I can add something squeaking, I can change on a dime. Predator, or with the electronic call, e-callers, you've got the consistency of the caller. So, you know, it's whatever you want to use. We use them both. I just personally love mouth calls because it makes me feel like I'm doing something.
Okay, Ron, of the three, the gray, the red, the coyote, ascending in wariness, cunningness, sheer intelligence. I swear these coyotes, Ron, they think. They can, it's very abnormal. I swear they can reason.
Well, they can't reason, but they sure do know how to learn, and that's what the thing is. A coyote, the first thing, the three, coyote top, hardest to call in. He's going to stop at that magic 80. He's going to survey the scenario. If it doesn't look right, he's not coming in.
I've seen it. Come on, just another couple of feet, man. I have my
stop.
tee shot ready, and they stop.
He's going to stop that magic 80. He's going to survey it. He's going to start to swing downwind one way or the other. You want to have a wide open spot behind you if you can, because he's going to come down. You're going to try to get him on your flanks, and the coyote he's just rough. And if his gut says no, he's not doing it. It's just that simple. He's not going to do it.
Ron, a thing too, there's estimated, a conservative estimate now, I guess the last one was in 2006, over 3,500 dogs in the state, so to speak. It's well over 10,000, and yet you think by attrition there will be some stupid ones. That doesn't seem to be happening, man. It takes guys like you, I mean experts who put in the time. You have to put in the time. And more than one spot per hunt. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sometimes, correct?
Well, I might be a better fox caller than I am a coyote caller. Coyotes have a tendency to make me look dumb.
Wow, from someone like that, what chance do I have?
Yeah, foxes I can look pretty good on. Coyotes can make me look pretty dumb. But when you're looking at that, you know, you said the dumb ones, okay? And there's the key right there. The best time to hunt coyotes is September and October, because that's when your coyote packs, your pups, if there is a dispersal, is going to happen at that time, or the pups are going to be more apt to leave the family unit. Okay, so your September and your October is your dumb months. The problem is when New Jersey, when we start to be able to get into this calling game, small games in,
November,
deer hunting's in. But in February, we got PhDs in coyotes right now. There is no such thing as a dumb coyote now. If he's alive, he's not dumb.
Okay, Ron, before we get the camo on and you load up and get back in there, set up the decoys and whatever, what scent's very important? Cover scents, we have variable winds, a cover scent and a tractor scent, and now you're ACP Redneck's Pride. You make the scents. You've been doing this for 40 years. What do we have here? Cover or a tract? Now, does one do both or what?
Well, that's a can of worms. That's depending on who you talk to.
I'm a trout guy. I like worms.
Yeah, I mean, if you put a bunch of predator callers in there, same as deer hunters or predator hunters, you're going to open up a can of worms there, and they're going to have a lot of opinions. But my opinion, and it's my opinion only, you cannot take away human odor 100%. No way, shape, or form. But you can reduce human odor. Okay. And by what you actually want to try to do is, we'll put it this way. You call a coyote a fox or whatever. When that fox or coyote's coming in, every sense that thing has is on. Something's dying, maybe they hear a vocalization, whatever. But every sense that thing has is on. Its smell, its eyes, its ears, its gut feeling, everything is working, okay? Any bit of human odor, it's not gonna work, okay? Bam. But if you had that same coyote come running down that trail, and you're sitting in a deer stand, and he's calm, cool, collect, no calling, no a little bit of human odor can get past them, okay? So what we try to do is we try to take our human odor and take it to a point that is very low, so when that coyote or that fox gets in that downwind spot of us, he senses it, he's gonna pick it up, but he's gonna pick up just a minute portion of it and confuse him. All we need to confuse him for 30 seconds to a minute.
Okay. All
right? It doesn't sound like a lot, but 30 seconds to a minute is a long time to get the shot.
Sure it is, yeah, sure it is.
So you always want to, first thing we will do is we'll spray our clothes down with a odor reducer. Now I don't call it an odor eliminator, it's an odor reducer, all right? And what that does is it takes away...
2-in-1.
2-in-1 odor reducer, yeah. And you spray it on your clothes and it helps to take any of your smells and compact them or close them down. I'm also a firm believer in a misting scent when we call. Okay.
A what?
A misting scent.
What's that mean?
You mist it in the air. You don't mist put it on your body.
I thought it was some sort of really technical.
Yeah, no, you mist it in the air. And a lot of guys out west, they found this out a few years ago. They used rabbit urine and all that. In New Jersey, I'd like to use one of two things. Well, I either use straight doe urine, okay, and when we just sit down, we'll just mist it. And what happens is as you mist it, it lays on the branches and the bushes and stuff like that, and that helps to also block your smell. Or we use TC Plus. Now TC Plus was our deer scent that we came out with, but it seems like everything love it. Oh, by the way, when we're calling, if you see a black thing coming in, meaning about 300-pound black bear, you're on your own. They're attracted to the TC Plus. So, but odor
I have T-shot.
But odor is very important, but you still got to get that guy before he gets down in that cone right downwind.
Ron, to play devil's advocate, if I can, for a minute before we get to the hunt. Now, for example, here on the Flatbrook track, we had some hikers. There were trout fishermen, had a couple of small gamers trying to get the last of the squirrels, rabbits, pheasants, whatever's up here. So the coyotes around here, and the gap over here, the water gap, they see people all the time. Why would, especially food and mating, food and sex, two of the greatest things ever, would a whiff of human odor spook them if there's so many humans around? Because
you're putting in their senses. In other words, that person walking down that trail and they're laying up in them bushes and the person just walks right on by. There's no aggression whatsoever. That animal learns to identify people walking past, and just like the deer do it, or turkeys or whatever, you know.
Okay, that's plausible.
When you get into a scenario where you're calling, something's dying or something is happening. At that point, they're looking, they're scoping, they're scanning the whole area over before they commit themselves. Okay. Okay? Oh. So when they're coming in, anything out of the place will make them very cautious or spook them. That's why we use the odor reducer to make them think, okay, is that human here now, or is that human here 2 hours ago? And they don't think that way, but on the same thing. It's versus your smell right now, but if you could knock that down a little bit, it may seem like you was there an hour ago.
Okay. Now Ron called food, prey, predator, also family things with the coyotes especially, mating, pup in distress. What do we have?
We got all kinds of things. You got distress, you got in your mouth calls. When you talk about the prey species, that's probably the easiest one. You're going to have so many different types of calls. You have an open reed, which is this type, okay?
It's missing a part.
No, that's fine, that's fine. That's the way it's supposed to be.
I don't know.
You have a diaphragm, which is simple, it's like your turkey calls.
That's a turkey, okay.
Okay, like a turkey call. You have another open reed, but it's a squeeze. It's what we call a pinch reed, okay? And you'll have another one that's what we call closed reeds. Okay. Okay. Now these are the calls that I particularly use all the time. But for example, the open reed, a lot of guys like the open reed because you can do a lot with it. You can do, or you can bring it around down to a mouth squeak. You can just.
That's supposed to be something to eat?
They like it.
What is that?
That's
a rabbit?
Whatever you want to do it. I mean, if you want.
Wait. Is that supposed to be a rabbit in distress?
Well, that's whatever it is. Wow. I don't know what it is, and you got to figure it out, you know? So that's what a lot of guys like the open reeds. Also with I don't have it with me today, but we have another open reed that's actually a coyote howler that you can. This one jams up on that, but
is it possible to call too loudly?
When you first start, yeah. You always start off low. Always want to start off with your mouth.
In other words, if the predator was within, say, 100 yards, is that what you want to do? Is it too loud? Can it spook it?
You could have an animal when you walk into your stand, you're going to be real quiet anyway. So so you could have a critter within 50, 60, 70 yards of you know. And usually what I'll, just with my hand. That's at first, just to.
Is that like a mouse or shrew?
Yeah,
or something?
little rodent.
Okay.
Now that sound right there, a coyote or a fox, it said that they can hear that 100 yards. Just
wow.
So you come in, you do a little squeaking at that, and then when nothing happens, then you can crank into the one call, that call. If you wanted to use that, or you could use what we call the pinch type of reed. Or you can do a distress.
Is it volume, Ron, or cadence, or both?
Volume and cadence, okay. You take a closed reed, you can do the regular, like a rabbit sound. Or a bird. All right, or you can do a starling distress. All right.
That sounds like a mallard feeding call.
Yeah, you can do all kinds of stuff with it, or have something dying. So it makes a lot of good sounds to it. That red fox, gray fox.
Now, Ron, competition between predators right now. Wildlife is at its lowest ebb of the season, of the year, so to speak. Competition, wow. Little brother's got something over there and I want it. Will that also bring them in,
but they're not going to charge right in. I mean, if that's why they're holding up and trying to get downwind to figure out what's going on. Okay. In other words, something's dying, something's getting killed. All right. Mr. Fox running in doesn't want to run in on Mr. Coyote killing something.
There you go.
Okay. Also, he may not want to run in on another fox, okay? Especially if the other, or a raccoon or something like that is trying to kill that animal. So they're going to come in to see what is getting killed, number one. Number two, to see what is doing the killing. And sometimes I think they're just coming in for a free-for-all. I mean, it's just, I hate to say it this way, but in high school, fight, what'd you do? You run over to watch,
right?
Okay? Equate your dogs in a yard. Two dogs get into a fight, next thing you know, everybody's getting into a fight. So, I think there's a lot of things that's involved in it. They're gonna come in, but they're not going to come in stupid unless they've never been called before, or a dumb dog, and they don't last long.
Right. Now, Ron, you're very well versed in the mouth calls.
This is my one of my.
Looks like a goose call.
Okay, that'd be for a real low type sound, where you can. All right.
Now, what is that emulating?
Well, it depends on which, it could be like a long howl.
Whoa.
All right, or you can do an aggressive. All right, or hurt.
A mistake you mentioned to me once, overcalling.
Not in predator.
You can't call, is it a case where you can't call enough?
Well, there's a time when you can't call enough, and I guess you can get too loud. If you got something coming in, don't get too loud on him. But, with electronic callers, a lot of times they're continuous. You're going to have a lot of guys that's going to talk whether you go continuous or not. So that's going to be your experience as you see the animal, watch an animal behavior coming in. Is it going to be, if it's kind of spooky, you might want to let up. A lot of times if we got some, like if I got a fox coming in at 50, 60 yards, right, I'll just start to, or like that. Taking it down to that little rodent sound seems to get them all fired up to where they'll come in on you.
Here, another thing I want to touch on before we get in the woods. I've had the opportunity to deer hunt with you and turkey hunt with you. You don't use decoys. Decoys in the predator game?
Sometimes. We have this one here. This actually moves. You set it in the ground. This will flip-flop around. It's pretty cool.
I haven't seen something like that since the French Quarter in New Orleans.
Yeah,
Holy God!
It's a
What
pretty
is
cool.
that?
It's, I don't know. But it flips around and stuff like that. There's another one that has a little shininess. I don't know if this has got the one with the shine to it or that glows in the dark or not.
Look at that! Look at that!
Yeah.
Eyes and all.
Yep. Another thing,
Wow.
for what we call the poor man's way is you take a stick and put a piece of string with a turkey feather or a pheasant feather, and just let that feather flop around. That's a good decoy.
So, as you said, the predator's keyed in olfactory-wise, hearing, and
Sight. So if you
visual.
go out there 20, 30 yards, set that thing up, his eyes are gonna gravitate to that sound. Especially when you use an electronic caller with a remote on it.
Right.
You can put the caller right there with the decoy, flop, flip, and he'll gravitate to that spot and not with his eyes on the person doing the calling.
They're on electronic calls. You use them. Which brand?
Yep. Well, this is the Western Rivers. There's a bunch of them out there that's good. This one here will take. You can put it out there 30, 40 yards, 50 yards away from you. So it's a very needed tool.
Very compact and
very
also very light.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Now
Yep.
I go back to the days of the Burnham brothers. These big things used to carry back in
With the record player
field.
and all
yeah,
that.
all
Mm-hmm.
that. Yeah, records. Yes. I'm dating myself.
Yeah.
But that's all right. This is great. Western Rivers.
Western Rivers. Johnny Stewart's still in the thing. You
Sure,
got
yeah.
Loman and all that.
Right.
I actually like Johnny Stewart sounds a lot. But you know, this is a nice compact unit. Fox Pro is probably the most desired, or Wildlife
And
Technologies.
for someone cyberly and electronically declined like I am, this looks pretty easy to use.
Yep, just set it out there, turn it on, and do whatever.
Okay, Ron, these are the business end of a predator hunt. Okay, we did the calls, we did the scents, we did the habitat. This is, again, the business end. These are 12 gauge, correct?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Lights,
Yep.
pump actions,
Pump
and
action,
automatic.
automatic. You know, guns can be whatever you want, 10 gauge, 12 gauge, 3.5 inch, Predator Hunter, 3.5 inch gun is your best friend for coyotes especially. But 3-inch, 12 gauge is going to do the job. It's the main thing. On shells or shot, you're going to want 3 or 3.5 inch shells. You know, 2 3/4 just isn't going to do it. You're going to need a 3 or 3.5 inch gun.
Ron, I have to ask you, this is camo, that's black, matte
Right.
black. Especially at night, gun, should it be camo or black? Does it make a difference? Because the reason I asked, I've seen people tape their
Yeah.
guns with the removable camo tape and black. What are you doing?
Well, I mean, the only reason this isn't painted is just because I never painted it. I mean, you can see how ugly that gun is. Uglier the better is you can see how old that gun and how much that gun's been used too. It's just the paint's wearing off. So, yeah, paint helps you out. You don't want a shiny gun during the daylight. At night, it's the same thing with all the lights. You got to watch your light system. You know, a lot of times I'll see lights, like you'll see that light is set way back down.
I noticed yours is right up by the tube.
Yeah,
What's the deal?
Yeah. I don't want the glare off of that, where this, you're not going to get the glare on this type of light, and it's actually shooting lower. With this light here, if I had it back here, it might glare off the end of the barrel just a little bit.
What are we talking about illumination here? Power, what do we have?
Oh, I believe that one is 100 and something looms. This one, this is that light there is good for 150 yards supposedly. Now we go white lights. We used to go red. But I found that red you can't identify as easy.
That's very contrary to the predator people I've spoken with. Again, it's still about 75 to 80 red to white.
Right, but that's because, you know, when we first started out back in the 70s, really trying to shine, okay?
Right, I remember that, yeah.
And we wasn't hunting at that time, but we was shining. And Dennis Kirk had a lot of stuff to talk about at that point. And there was a lot of those old times, you know, Johnny Stewart's and all that. It was all white lights. And there wasn't any red lights at that point. Then we went to the red light because it was supposedly it didn't spook the animal. But yet, when I take a laser and shine it on the wall, my wife's dog that we had at the particular time would chase the laser all over the place. So something wasn't making sense. What I really believe happening is if your light is on when you start to call, and the animal comes into that light, there's not going to be a problem. If all of a sudden you start your call, then you turn your light on that animal, and boom, there's a flash, just like you or whatever, right. Whether it's red, white, or green, they're going to get spooky on it.
They're on these full chokes?
Yes, actually, that one there.
Extra full?
That's a full choke.
Okay.
I don't believe he has his extra full in there. I don't see it. And this one's this is an extra full choke. Mm-hmm. Actually, I went out this morning hunting, and just wanted to make sure my pattern was still on. And at 40 yards, my pattern was about that big with this choke here. So they're bound. They're
now,
pounders.
Ron, the loads are going to be shooting. I'm a heavy shot proponent, waterfowl, and I picked these up. The dead coyote T-shot.
Probably the most popular shot.
Heavy shot. I mean, Ron, I've rolled foxes out 45, 50, 55 yards in these. Imagine for the coyotes, same thing. Maximum range that you're finding with a full choke and extra full. I
just did a show, podcast last week, a week before last, with a couple boys from down Louisiana and Ohio and all that, all callers. And we all came to the same agreement. You're looking at, for that gun right there, that shot right there, 3-inch, 55 yards is going to be, you're right. If you got a 3.5, some guys are saying you can reach out 60 to 70. I wouldn't go 60 to 70 yards with an extra full choke. That's a good shot there. There's also, we're trying out, I've also shoot Federal BBs for foxes, does a really nice job on foxes. Coyotes, he's got to be in that 40, 45 yard range. You get a coyote out 55 yards with BBs, you'll knock him down, and chances are, unless you get a good headshot on him, he's probably going to get up and take off.
That's what we don't want.
Yeah, we want him down. Talk about the dirt nap. We always, that's a term that we always use. We want him down and out. Now we're also we're trying out the new Federal coyote loads.
Okay.
That we haven't been able to pull the trigger on a coyote yet with them, but it looks like a nice load. Well, it's going to be equivalent to these.
That's what you're using the thing. You're hunting with Tom P.
Well.
And the Flatbrook track, my area of operation.
Yeah, well, we'll do it.
Also, we have, there's some dogs around.
Well, you got to do that. Now Jennings is going to use the Federal, and you're going to use the dead coyote. Okay. And I'm probably going to have to show both of you up with the BBs.
Ron Jones, ACP Rednecks Pride Outdoor Sense and Game Calls with Tom P. About to do some predator hunting on the Flatbrook Roy Wildlife Management Area, 206 in Sussex County. Let's go, Ron.
All right.
We're loaded. Let's roll.